Don in London. Hello, it's January 30th, 2013, almost the end of the month. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My addictive substance, alcohol, my behaviour, equally addictive, around people, places and things, trying to be perfect and never ever achieving perfection in any shape or form. So, all about recovery from addiction. Working out what works and what doesn't work on a daily basis. I got a bit of professional help at the beginning, and the professional said, we can't keep this going because there are more people coming through. You need to vacate your space and get help elsewhere. And they suggested I go to the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I was very reluctant because the idea of fellowship, being in the company of other people, for any reason where I would be exposed if I did something wrong, or exposed if I relapsed, or exposed if I just kept on going in recovery, I'd be a part of something and included. And that was very hard to do, having got to a place of isolation and never wanting to wake up again. The idea of fellowship, it was frightening, fearful. But I kept on going, one day at a time, and very fortunately something clicked. I suddenly realised I could get freedom to live life again. After all, it had got as bad as it could get, at least I thought so. But the trouble with life is it keeps on happening, so other things happen. So why don't I drink on anger and resentment? Well, the simple answer is I haven't got anything to be angry about or resentful about, really. I really don't, because life is the way it can be. The possibilities are there, the doors are open. As long as I'm realistic about what's going on, life can happen. So the Fellowship of AA has taught me a lot, and one of the good news parts of this is the fellowship. I don't speak for it, never can, never will, because like everybody else we become unique, authentic, and have our freedom to choose what we do in life given our situation and our circumstances. So it's not a way through to paradise, it's a way through the fantasy of what we thought life ought to be into reality. And I found reality highly preferable to the fantasy I had about what life ought to be like. So the Fellowship of AA, yes. No leaders, no one sharing and saying this is the best thing since sliced bread. All people do is share their experience, strength and hope of what happens in fellowship. And what happens in fellowship? We share together, learn what it's like to work in unity to achieve recovery, and then live life. So I'm going to share the AA preamble, which is shared at the beginning of every meeting, so that it's clear what it does and what it doesn't do. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. That's it. A desire to stop. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. So it doesn't endorse or oppose my sharing of experience, strength and hope. So I'm one voice of many, and what I've learned is it's the many voices in AA, the Fellowship of AA, which do this. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So if there's anything I say which is useful, fantastic. If there's anything I say which is unhelpful and not useful, needs to be rejected by you because it's not applicable for whatever reason. So I'm not saying this is the only way by any means. So my daily reflections, if you like, courtesy of many people sharing their experience, strength and hope. So I've got some. and I learn a bit of wisdom about living today. So for me, today, January 30th, 2013, freedom to me, freedom to be me, but who am I? All those years of trying to fix myself, trying to fix the way I looked to other people, trying to blend in, trying to be included in the world, and always using my wits and abilities to be that chameleon, morphing into what you wanted and never really knowing what I needed. I usually say something around needs met, wants forgotten. Wants are impractical usually and beyond some sort of fantasy, but if I get my needs met, food, shelter, connection to the world, then life has meaning. So learning who I am today, this is not the sort of question I would imagine many people ask themselves. Well, most people. I don't know about most people, I just know about me. Always asking myself the question, what am I doing, why, and what is the point? I do believe that this question was with me from the start. A primary school teacher asked me back in 1961, when I was 5, who I wanted to be when I grew up, and apparently I looked at her with surprise and said, I want to be king. I know this, and I know I was 5 years old. The teacher told my mother, and my mother thought it funny at the time. Can a person be grandiose, wanting to be king at age 5? Well, no. I reckon it was equality of opportunity that was required, and not some notion of hereditary rights. After all, my dad was a socialist and he was very grandiose about everything. So who am I today? I don't know, but by the end of the day I am likely to have learnt something useful and made some progress in some direction. It is the journey and not the destination today. The destination is the same for everyone. We just don't know when it's going to be. Or unfortunately some of us do know, but it may not be as long to that destination as before. I can remember when talking to a friend some years back who was struggling with a change in career that I suggested to them, with any endeavour, start by being open, honest and willing to look at all the positive reasons for a change, and then look at all the reasons people may put in your path to block your ambition, and what will block you most in your ambition to become something different. Impatience, resentment at the world, battling to be something rather than being the person they were, made them exaggerate their skills, made them selective with the truth about the past. In other words, leaving out some of the bad bits which could be researched. The CV was inaccurate and the pertinent questions unanswered. The interview good, the outcome a flat rejection and huge annoyance by the potential employer of being misguided. Rage and anger persisted in my friend, the world against them again. If we are to get anywhere in life, we need to be open, honest and willing with ourselves. I need to be open, honest and willing with myself first. First and foremost, telling the truth to ourselves. This will stop us telling lies about our character and our values to other people. And sometimes people don't need to know everything if it's not pertinent to the relationship. That's a big question. In my experience, everything is pertinent, and we get found out eventually. If we hide, we miss our real opportunities to live openly and be successful at living. Success at living is not career in my case. Although I have been accused of saying, well, it's all right for you because you've had the careers. No, it's not all right for me because I spent a lot of time in careers which were not good for me. Just because I was good at them doesn't make it right. So it's perceived value to other people that sometimes misleads the truth. I was empty. I could do it. Had the skill. I said yes and fitted in like a chameleon. I still had no clue how to live life. I thought if I get to a certain point I'll be okay. So ambition and the chameleon drove where I went. I just went in the end where the money was. and the skills I had. And then I broke down because I had no inkling of what life was about. I lost sense of proportion completely. So in my experience, everything is pertinent or we get found out. If we hide, we miss the real opportunities to live openly and successful. Living life now as close to truth as we can muster will let people in and not shut us out of opportunities. I mean, there's loads of things I would have liked to have done, apart from being king, and I never got round to it. But now I'm actually doing some of the things I really love doing. Anyway, common ground in life and in recovery. We are all human, sensitive to our environment. We all have feelings, and every person is learning about their feelings every day. Some people are a quick study, living and experiencing their feelings in the moment of now, without any historical emotional eruptions blighting the present moment. So they just cruise along, feeling and living life as it is. Beautiful. But it's not being that way for me. Yeah. So, and other people, their emotional fingers burned like me, holding on to grudges and horrors which have never been reconciled. I have a host of ghosts and emotional hang-ups, and the bloody ghosts will often chatter in my head. If I have not dealt with these ghosts and why they hang around in my head, they will and can erupt in ugliness in the moment of now. Some of these ghosts, I can laugh at the causes and the effects, and some can make me mad as hell, because life isn't supposed to be like that, and I should not have been treated that way. As a child and in adulthood, I shouldn't have been treated that way. I just didn't know what was right and wrong back in the day. Because people were fucking brutal. Anyway, today I am more clear, able to be assertive and have empathy with everyone I meet. And this is courtesy of the learning available, the experience, strength and hope of many people in fellowship and outside fellowship, one day at a time. David Cameron's gone off to Algeria to represent the UK and the armed forces which are being deployed in Africa, in northern Africa. Why didn't he send his foreign secretary? You know, there is something about delegation. But ego can get in the way, edging good out, or God out, as some people say, edging the good out. You know, you deploy your ministers properly. Anyway, that's just an aside. Just a living example of ego going mad. Because he was the one who stepped out in Egypt and said, "Oh, look at this." And then he wouldn't dare set foot, I would imagine, or if he does, he's certainly not going to speak to the Prime Minister there, because it's not the sort of Prime Minister he would like. We live and we learn, hopefully, but he's not learning very much. Anyway, that's just a bit of political malarkey by me. So, and this is courtesy of learning available, the experience, strength and hope of many people in fellowship, what I can do and cannot do. Now, I've been talking about step 1 all month. Step 1 is all about powerless over alcohol, and life gets unmanageable if we take a drink. A huge learning for me is accepting other people have power and control in many relationships, because they have excuse me, they have work. Prime Minister has power to do whatever he likes, basically, but how he uses that power. And the same applies to doctors, dentists. They have the power to get it right or get it wrong. Anyway, this is what I'm saying. A huge learning for me is accepting other people have power and control in many relationships. Anyone can encounter the helpful boss, the bullying boss, the helpful store assistant, the store assistant who couldn't care less, the doctor who wants to help us, the doctor so stressed out they miss what's wrong with us. So many people need power in their positions in life. Usually we can power up the people around us to help us if we ask for help in the right way, at the right time and in the right place. If we ask for help without thinking or feeling we are entitled, even though by law we may have some rights, Simply ask openly and honestly, "Can you help me, please?" And in recovery we need, and in fellowship, the fellowship is a safe place, most often to ask for help. Yeah. Sometimes help comes immediately and the solutions are found. Most often we ask for help, and it takes time, because it takes time for other people to recognise our asking. And it takes time for us to recognise who might be the appropriate person to help. Nothing will ever work to your timetable. If you feel entitled and you feel you deserve something, so if you've got a timetable, by the end of today I should be, and it's an objective which has no real foundation, you're going to get angry and resentful. Or maybe you might say, oh, well, maybe I need to ask in a different way. So nothing will ever work to your timetable. Humility, recognising the need for help, asking for the help, and then people recognising your needs rather than demands and wants, is a lifelong journey in being alive and living one day at a time. So this notion of asking for help, rather than being the person, you're going to give help to a lot of people all your life, whoever you are, if you choose to, by what you do. It's your choice, because we are all interdependent human beings. So don't think it's a one-way street, that you ask for help and it comes and that's that. You have to get off your backside and be part of, or life will be very, very narrow. If you are asking for help, ask the person if they are able to help you. And if they are not able to help, thank them for their honesty and move on. Or listen to the person you have asked, who may be suggesting the right person to help you. So when somebody says, no, I can't help you, but I know a person who can, listen for the person who can, rather than being resentful and angry at the person who can't help you. This is life. It works in fellowship and it works in reality, in your daily doings, family, work and community and society. We all have rights and responsibilities. At the same time, we need to power up the people around us so they can be helpful and we can engage with them as we may. So if you ask someone for help, say, well, I can't do it now, but what about later or tomorrow? How urgent is it? So, it's a dialogue. I've been around for 5 decades, and a bit like anyone reaching what might be a midpoint or quite a late point in life, wisdom grows and grows. Why can't we get it sooner rather than later? Once we have our freedom of choice back, freedom from drink, freedom from fear, and freedom from our own worst enemy, the critic within, who searches and searches and never finds the answer on their own. So, stand on your own 2 feet, put on a brave face, ego fully engaged. We're closed to asking for help. So a bit of open, honest and willing to ask, humility. So how am I feeling today? I feel good. It's 8:30 in the morning, mild weather, although dark and dingy with clouds, all my usual routines, reminding myself of steps 1, 2 and 3, that life can feel powerless, and actually that is a strength, but doing the same things over and again will not yield a new outcome. And let go and stop battling and pretending to be okay. Remind myself of the serenity prayer, the things I can do and cannot do today, and the wisdom to know the difference will happen in the moment as each new life event unfolds. And it could be just bog standard things like going and getting the shopping, or sharing with another person. Sharing the experience, strength and hope of past times, and share the experience, strength and hope of present times. When life is good, when life is bad, and when life is plain old ugly. I haven't had any plain old ugly for a while actually, but it will come along. Sharing the truth and being open, honest and willing will be as good as it gets on any given day, and especially just for today, this one. Now this might be a bit contentious, but I don't think it is contentious. It's just my feelings about something which goes on. I've heard many people say this, let go and let God. But what does that mean, let go and let God? Let go and let God find me a parking space? No. Let go and let God give me direction. I suppose it depends on how it works for you, but this is how it works for me. Certainly let go the notion that you will have all the power and are responsible in all ways to achieve your ambitions and goals, which are part of the future. In my experience, letting go is about letting good, or rather letting go the mystery and mythology of being powerful over people, places and things. So it is a mystery, and the mythology of being powerful over people, places and things, I know better than you, is that I don't know better than you right now. We don't live in this world alone. We live interdependent lives, so we cannot do it on our own. And we need to take account of the wisdom around us, people who may be able to help us, and we need humility. Like I mentioned yesterday, humility can be seen as a grandiose word, or a word you don't like because it takes away your power. But power is mythological, it's a mystery. You don't really have power forever, and if you have power to shape the world, it's quite narrow to your point of view. That's really quite narrow. The evidence in my life is that humility opens the door. Yeah, I'll just roll back a bit. We don't live in this world alone. We live interdependent lives, and we need to take account of the wisdom around us, people who may be able to help us, and we need humility. Like I mentioned yesterday, humility can be seen as a grandiose word, or a word you don't like because it takes away your power. The evidence in my life is that humility opens the door to asking for help. Let go and let God. I feel very concerned that this is the most grandiose cop-out on the planet, because what you're saying is you have no choice. It's God's choice. Well, actually, I don't know that God works in such a deliberate way. So, the evidence in my life is that humility opens the door to asking for help. Let go and let God. I feel very concerned that this is the most grandiose cop-out on the planet. Let go and be guided by the wisdom of the universe, accessible 24/7 all around you, every day, the people, places and things, familiar and unfamiliar. When we let go and ask for help, we work harder and smarter and with more freedom of choice from moment to moment. Truth is now. Love is now. Wisdom always in the now, because everything is happening right now, and thank God for that. So I do believe that when people say let go and let God and don't explain what that means, it's like a great big mystery, and it's not. The answer is, I'm not God, you're not God. But if we work together, we might get some more wisdom in the moment of now, and all the doors open in different directions from what we thought before, because we are open to the possibilities rather than closed down and narrow, saying, well, God will sort it for me. No, he bloody won't. If there is a God, it's universal and it's not specific to you. A universal wisdom of the universe comes from living in the universe in the moment of now. Well, that's my opinion, and it may not be your opinion. Please don't get upset if I don't follow your path, but I respect your path, whatever it is, as long as you don't cop out. I hope you don't, because the most important thing is to engage with the wisdom of the universe, which is all around you if you ask and keep on learning and learning, and that's humility. So it doesn't take the power away, it puts the power into people around us and ourselves to make better choices together. So that's how fellowship works too. We make better choices together, and group conscience and all of that is something to do with tradition 2, which I'll talk about in February, which is not too far away. The Serenity Prayer I share at the end of this. Please follow your own beliefs and opinions. That's one thing I must say. Follow your own beliefs and opinions and let them develop as life develops. If you're stuck one way, it's very difficult to see and perceive the possibilities. As one door shuts, another door opens, or many doors open and we go in different directions. Follow your path. Please find humility to keep on asking the questions which will help you have a free, open choice at living today based on what is realistic in the moment of now. So it's not some fictional pretend I'm okay, I'm living fine. The answer is, if you're not okay, say I'm not okay, and I don't know the answers, but I don't even know where to start. That's a good starting point. Not knowing, I just don't know. So then it's, who's got some wisdom close by? Where might it be? How do I access it? We don't have to know those answers, we learn them from everyone around us. Now, if people don't know and you don't know, maybe we're barking up the wrong tree. Nothing wrong with change. Find another tree to bark up. Anyway, the Serenity Prayer, to God or in good conscience as you believe. Your common ground in fellowship, keep your beliefs and understandings about life which are yours, personal to you. So although fellowship is one thing, everyone keeps their own opinions and beliefs, and they can share them as they like, because we're human, sensitive, and we're allowed to. That's the good news, and it's written in a law somewhere, which is often ignored by family, organisations, society, but they do exist. So powering up the people around us to help, rather than exerting power and expecting a result. God, please give me the can do, can't do, whenever, and the wisdom from the universe. God, and back to serenity from insanity of thinking I have the power and I don't. So here we go. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And in the wisdom to know the difference is the place where we may need help, where we don't have the wisdom yet. So we gain wisdom as we go, in the moment, by the minute, by the hour, just for one day today.